Hello, ladies and gentlemen, I am PANCZASU, and welcome to our first stance guide for the Morgawr faction in Endless Legend. If you are a newcomer to my channel, perhaps, well then, what this series is all about is pretty self-explanatory. I'll just talk about how to play the first few turns as any given faction, in this case, the Morgawr faction that you people have been asking me to showcase for months now, and I'm really sorry I wasn't able to do this anytime sooner. Finally, however, the time has come and we can discuss this. Before we begin, however, I do need to stress out that this video is only about the Morgawr, and to be more specific, the first few turns of playing as the Morgawr, where to settle and things along those lines. I'll not necessarily spend too much time explaining all the intricacies of the Tempest expansion, how it changes the gameplay and things along those lines. Those will have to wait until later. Now we're gonna enter a new game. We're gonna start a few new games, in fact. We just want our opponent to shorten the delay slightly, and we're gonna analyze each stat that we get. Now, however, there's one thing I need to stress out. This guide is intended primarily to people who play on fast game speed. The difference between fast game speed and normal game speed is very significant, and in fact, it's not just in difference in playstyle, but also in faction difficulty. And I will say it right now, in single player, when playing on endless difficulty, playing on fast speed is considerably more challenging than playing on normal speed. This deserves another entire video for itself, however. It's a pretty lengthy topic that I need to address at some point, so we'll have to wait for that as well. For now, however, I just stress out that if you don't play on fast, well, things get a lot more different, but thankfully for you, it should also be easier on fast, on normal that is, than on fast. Alrighty then, let's go ahead and change a few things. First of all, obviously, this is how I always play when I play with, in any game, in fact. So, one thing I need to address is that right now the game is telling me that this faction is not recommended with the current world duration settings. I beg to differ, however, and the simple reason for that is that let's analyze this real quick, right? Right now I'm playing on one continent. I used to play on 3 continents before. Both are viable possibilities for the Morgawr, in my opinion. When you play with multiple continents, for example, you always have a way to get close to any enemy you desire and annoy them as much as you want. However, downside is that you have much less room for yourself. You're placed much closer to other players, and as such you're more vulnerable to rushes. You also have less islands to which you could run away to in case you need to abandon your home region. However, when there's only one continent, you are safer in the early game. You generally have more islands on which you could establish your empire, but it's gonna be harder to get to some of the empires that are established firmly in the mainland of the Pangaea, or Pangaea. I don't know how to pronounce that, I'm sorry. So, what about this notification, however? What is this referring to? It is referring to the land percentage. When it's on 50% or lower, then it's gonna say that, yeah, Morgawr are fine. In my opinion, it's wrong, however. And the simple reason for that is, well, I already actually explained this accidentally, because when there is less land, this means that the distance between Morgawr and other factions on land will be shorter, making Morgawr more vulnerable for being rushed. And Morgawr in early game are quite vulnerable to rushing strategies, I'll tell you this right now. So less land percentage, weakest in early game, and also means that there are less islands on which they could establish their true empire. So there are quite a few disadvantages to them having a low land percentage. Which is why I say that 60% land percentage is the most balanced when there's one Morgawr faction in the game. So it's balanced not only for the Morgawr but for other factions as well. However, if you are playing in a game with more than one Morgawr, for example 2, I would encourage setting this maybe to 50% or something, because otherwise the ocean can get a little bit clustered and not all that much fun. However, 60 is my personal go-to. Alrighty then, let's stop talking about that and start. I'm going to not skip this loading screen for a change, because I need to explain how I usually play the Morgawr. And you see, in my opinion, Morgawr are actually the proof that Amplitude wanted really badly to create a faction that actually is supposed to grow into a tall empire rather than wide empire, and them actually succeeding for a change in a way that feels kind of natural and not as forced as with Cultist or Ally. With Ally, personally, I even play Ally as a wide empire rather than tall empire, and in my opinion they're good, they're just a little bit tricky to pull off. And Cultists, well, sure, they have to be tall because they're hard limited, but that's not fair. Morgawr, however, give you full freedom in that regard, but you generally just want to be tall with them, which is pretty cool in my personal opinion. However, we're gonna discuss that maybe in their own separate playthrough. For now, let's focus on where we start. We start next to what I guess is the equator. That would mean that we're on the northern hemisphere and there's the North Pole. Alright, that's good to know. Always zoom out in your map when you start a new game, especially if your settings are as randomized as mine are. Alrighty then, so what do we see? First of all, well, this is an amazing start. I'm not too happy about this. I like to show you the worst case scenarios, but I guess for our first start it's gonna be okay. Besides, there are things that I will definitely be capable of explaining rather, not exploring. So first things first, what kind of fitzy do you care about when you play as the Morgawr? Well, when you reach middle to late game, you generally just care about dust and influence. Those are your two go-to resources that you need a ton of to win, but then again you can win with basically just those two and not really worry about anything else, obviously to some extent. However, in early game, because your first city is usually just your throwaway city, it doesn't always happen, but most of the time, whatever is the capital is just your throwaway city. It only serves one purpose: to create the most settlers with which you create your actual empire, with which you settle in a better region than your starting region. Because chances are your starting region is gonna be pretty crap compared to what to regions where you could have settled instead. It doesn't look like it is going to be the case this time around, but still, that's usually how it is. So, because of this, as the Morgawr, I usually tend to focus a little bit more on things like industry and science in my studying region. Science, because you really need to get some technologies pretty early, and especially you need war technology before you actually can use it, because researching that is your first faction quest, which gives you luxury resources for free, which is pretty neat if you ask me. So there's that then. Industry science most important for your studying city, dust and food second up. So, with that done, let's start by scouting around a little bit. Of course, I mean, in this case, there's no reason not to explore those ruins. Nothing happened, obviously. I'm not that lucky. Besides, it doesn't matter in this game. I might as well not explore because I'm not going to continue this game. I'm just going to show you what happens on the first few turns. So, let's first explore this area. Let's move along the coastline next to this scary thunderstorm. I usually don't want to end your turn in a thunderstorm, but I might explore more terrain if I do. Actually, then again, I will be able to see further inland if I end my turn on my journey on a safe tunnel, so might as well do just that. I'll send out another mastermind right away. You want to cover as much land as possible, generally, as often as it's literally possible for you as well. Also, yeah, I'm starting to see some issues with the stat. Even though it's pretty great, don't get me wrong, I see potential problems, and I'll explain those in a second. And also my hero, do you say you are gonna go over here. Keep in mind, all of our units, as the Morgawr, they are amphibious, which means they only have 3 movement. They are awful, but they have 5 movement on water, and they have ridiculously good movement on river tiles, basically allowing you to explore an entire continent in like, what, a 10 or 2, as long as you follow the rivers. I don't have any rivers here, unfortunately, which limits my ability to scout somewhat, which is unfortunate, but well, some things are unavoidable. Another empty ruin. So, what do we see so far? First of all, what do you care about and what do you not care about? I already explained Fitzy. What about resources? For example, we can see that there's some wine there, some titanium there. Thing is, in Endless Legend now, with all of the expansions, there are several ways to just ignore those resources completely. Because I'll tell you one secret right now: when you are playing as the Morgawr, almost always your first era screen is you're gonna get through it and not get everything you want by the time you hit era 2. There are just too many things you want, too many things you need. At some point you're probably gonna have to come back to this tree and get the additional technologies that you haven't had a chance to grab while you were initially in era 1. That's how it is. It doesn't always happen, but it happened to me more often than it did not. So, with that in mind, in fact, I never bother with Alchemist's Furnace or Open Pit's Mine. There are alternatives to that. First of all, there is the Marketplace. The Marketplace you're probably gonna have to get as the Morgawr, I'll tell you that right now. And that is a place where you could buy your resources. There is a problem with strategic resources in the Marketplace, especially things like Hyperium or Palladium. in the fact that they are hard to get, and expensiveness doesn't matter, but they are just, the generation or marketplace is non-existent. You need place to sell them, so there's a problem with that. But other than this, yeah, marketplace is a option. Another option is obviously using the winter technologies, and to be more specific, strategic intensifier and luxury intensifier, as both of those can give you resources without you actually having the technology to gather them. The only downside is that you need to have your city right next to a resource, and it's limited of 1 intensifier per region. Still, usually it's a pretty nifty and good way of gaining some your resources. That's how I do it often. And finally, you are the Morgawr. If you explore the oceans, chances are you're gonna find citadels that will give you the resources you need, and this will be your main income of resources. All of this put together means that you can pretty much safely ignore all of those deposits. So there is that then. What about minor factions? They are very important for you. If you check the technology screen, you'll find out that the Morgawr don't have any non-naval units that their faction could deploy. They only have the Mastermind, that is their ground unit. That's not really a fighting unit that can hold its ground in combat. It's not that bad. Bloodless is actually pretty cool, I like it. But having more than, what, 1 or 2 of those guys in the army not necessarily the best idea ever, I dare say. So you need minor factions to form the backbone of your grand army, and you do need grand army to defend against other players, especially in multiplayer, but even in single player. Although in single player you might actually be capable of skipping it altogether, which again calls for another playthrough. No, don't go anywhere. Wow, I misclicked. So you need to take into consideration the minor factions. Haunts. Haunts are a faction you definitely need to pacify, because they're extraordinarily ridiculously expensive to mind control for a reason that I don't fully understand. I think the game is overestimating their power in combat. Nevertheless, you want to get rid of them. So you might as well settle where the Haunts are. That is also a benefit. They are a good unit and they give you science, which is also not bad. Nidia, avoid at all costs. They are a bad unit in combat, and they don't give you a meaningful bonus either. You don't care about initiative for your units. The Leviathans are just fine without it. And over here we have the Gladiators. Gladiators, I mean, Gladiators as a unit I like too much not to say get it. But personally, if I were to recommend something, I would say Silex or the Ragashi for the resource bonus, especially Silex in fact, because they are perfect backbone infantry for you to hide behind. Kazanji, also another good example, because they give you extra influence while also being a very useful unit in its own right. Those are my personal go-tos. Alrighty then, now that we have discussed the minor factions, and it has been, wow, 12 minutes of this video, that's way too long in fact, we can decide where to settle, and that's gonna take a while as well, I'll warn you right now. So, looking at the regions, I need to zoom out for a second to make sure I'm not missing on any obvious anomalies. So, alright, okay, so let's have a quick look. World of Life, Life Tree, rather. Pretty nice, I'll take that into consideration. But first, let's start with our standing region. It only has 1 village, and it's a needy village. I probably want to avoid colonizing this region. And look at it right now, Mutant Marsh, not very good. Now, this is a ruinous spot. I mean, look at this. 2 trees, massive trees. Mitochondria, which is extra pro, and right next to that there's exotics, and also mutant marsh. Absolutely amazing. Later on there's also gold that you can build your luxury intensifier around. Really nice. I mean, if you were to check the FTSE output of this place, it's really good. 19, 15, 6 and 1, and also approval. That's awesome. The problem with this spot is the fact that it's not maybe landlocked, it's quite close to sea tiles, but you need to be on sea tiles much sooner than that. You actually need to be on there to get your units out as quickly as possible. It's very important in fact, and your first city probably has to be on the coastline, which is why I don't want to go deeper into land, even if it's as good of a place as this one is. Although you could also make an argument that, well, in that case I can settle somewhere here and just invest in the future and expand over there. And this is not a bad spot. Let's have a quick look at the food output. 10 food. Wait a second, we're gonna lose... there is no food production on the town we would settle on, so we would only lose 2 from consumption. Which means that we would get our population in what, 2 turns? I'm pretty sure that's 2 turns without working on food. That's very important, mind you. If we were to work on food, we would still get in 2 turns. Alright, that's good to know. So, that's not a bad place to settle food-wise. What about industry-wise? If we were to work on industry, that's the problem. Even if you were working in industry, we would still only make our founders memorial in 3 turns. So I don't like this place at all. Like I said, industry is very important for the Morgawr in early game. If I had to play myself over here, well, that's 11 industry, very nice, 14 science. That gives us free technology in 110. That's actually insanely good for the Morgawr. The downside is that it's only for food. Again, we would keep that for food because there's no food on the tile we will settle on. We just lose 2 from consumption. So if we were to work it, we would get 6 food per 10. And we need 14 food to grow our population. You see a problem? Yes, I see a problem. That's a lot of time spent working on food, and we would not be capable of working industry in the meantime, which means that we'd also have to spend 3 turns working on Founders Memorial. That's not the worst thing ever, because of the amount of science this place has. So that's something to consider, but there's another place. We cannot settle here in 110, and that's very important to settle in 110. Usually, dust is very precious for the Morgawr. So we could settle here and just sacrifice those 2 towns, 3 towns in the future, at the cost of being... but on the other side, we would gain access to a pretty decent efficiency output. Although is it that decent? 12 food, alright. That's growth in 2 turns without working in it. Or that's -3, that's 9. Plus working in it, that's 13 per 10, that's not enough to instantly grow it, alright. And industry, no, that's not very good in fact at all. Yeah, you see a problem with this location? I see. Oh, actually there's also approval, which messes up my calculations completely. I still don't like this spot too much. I'll tell you this right now. What else do we see? What if I were to set over here? 17 food, that's amazing. That does let us, hold on a second, again, we're losing 3. That still allows us to get new population increase instantly, basically. And that's instantly, right? Because we only lose 3 food, so that's still 14 food production. So yeah, that should give us instant population increase. However, we would have to work industry, so that's 9 industry output, and then on the next 10, that would be 13 industry output. That's not quite enough. So 3 10s for Founders Memorial, if we were to work industry all the time. 7 science output, so extra science at 2 turns. That's not that bad. It's close to an anomaly. It is it's near to a bottleneck, so this would not be a very efficient placement when it comes to your district. But you could expand over here and then like so, and still grab the life tree. So it's not the worst position ever. More importantly, is it better place than where I am right now, than if I were to, for example, settle over here? Or can I go anywhere else for that matter? I can go over here. 10 food, that's... hold on a second, I dropped to 7, that's still the bare minimum. Alright, that's good enough. And 9 industry, that's not quite good enough. I would still have to wait 3 turns. Hard choice, really. I don't want to colonize this place because looking for the future, if I were to make a city that pulls its weight in middle/late game, placing a city somewhere like here, for example, that's a more promising land, because later on you can expand over here, which is an amazing place, frankly. You have access to your land tiles, you have a decent amount of income of everything. Yeah, I would say this is the place to go, honestly, rather than this place. So this is where I'm gonna go. Now, I know it took a ridiculously long time to analyze, but I think it's very important that I talk you through exactly what my thoughts are whenever I settle my first city. It takes a while sometimes, especially when you have a lot of choice. Or actually, it takes more time when you have not a lot of choice, in fact. But yeah, I believe this was the right call. Now we can make the Founders Memorial and grow our population in terters regardless. Thankfully, Founders Memorial and 3, like I said, because we don't have a lot of industry, unfortunately. But it's still okay, and science in 2 tests. Now, what is the science we want to grab? Is it the Holy Trinity that I coined, which is a term I coined before? The Holy Trinity stands for Mill Foundry, into cultivation, into public library. No. As the Morgawr, I always go for either Mill Foundry first, into Language Square, or Language Square into Mill Foundry. Then, depending on my science output, I go for Vorse and the Search Party, not necessarily in that order, and then into other things. Other things that are important to mention are, for example, Breaching Wave and the Messing Market. Both are must-have for you, basically. And things that you might consider but don't necessarily have to get are things like, well, cultivation or public library. In some cases, but rarely, topography. Actually, not very rarely. Topography can be quite useful for you. So it depends. Unfortunately, I wish I could give you like one true good build order or rather research order for you. Unfortunately, I don't think one exists for the Morgawr, because the problem is the Morgawr have a water bias, which means that they can spawn anywhere next to water. This means they can spawn in a tropical land like I did just now. They can spawn on the desert. They can spawn next to a North Pole where it's extraordinarily cold. They can spawn, in fact, in the desert where there's being completely landlocked, but with access to rivers. All of those things, unfortunately, call for completely different research orders that, well, I cannot explain all of them. I'll try to cover as many of them, however, in this video as possible, so let's focus on that. Alright, with that kind of thing, what will I research now? 3 Tales unto Father Memorial. So even if I do research Mill Foundry, it's gonna be a wasted tech for a while. Instead I'm gonna go for Language Square into Mill Foundry. It does mean that I'll probably have some extra spare time between Father's Memorial and Mill Foundry. I can, for example, use that time to create another mastermind. I can rush a settler. I can go for Task Filtration, although in this case it would not be very useful. I'll think about it, we'll see what happens. For now, however, Language Square I would say is a safer option, because... Hold on a second, I just realized. We have not uncovered any citadels as of yet. Citadels are the reason why I want a Language Square. However, within 2 turns, I'm quite confident we can find at least one citadel over here, maybe more, and you do need to start getting those quests from the citadels. Sure, chances are, no matter what you do, you're not gonna be able to capture your first ocean in the early game, because the quest will be too difficult to do. You will not have the units to actually capture anything by force. All neutrals will spawn, which will wreck your day, and you have to wait until later in the game when you can actually truly start gaining control of the sea. But trying is important, and if you can pull it off, because sometimes on small one citadel oceans you can get your control in fast, and that's very important that you do that if at all possible. Alright, let's explore a bit more, see what we can see if we can find a citadel. So far we are very unlucky. This is really awful for us, not being able to find any citadels. Let's explore over this side and look for citadels. So this looks like a genuine ocean, and our first citadel is there. We're gonna get there in a 10. It looks like our technology is gonna be somewhat wasted. We're not gonna be able to talk to a lot of citadels. What about minor factions, you may ask, however? Is it worth talking to them? Well, in some cases, yes. For example, your minor factions that are within your territory, you do want to talk to them. Because obviously you want to assimilate them, you need their units, you need their bonus. Pretty self-explanatory. As for the other minor factions, I like to leave an area, let's say several regions wide, that is completely wide, where I do not tame anything and I just let powerful neutral armies roam. And the reason for that being is that if I get invaded by something, I can just instantly mind control a very big army and send it to my own help. So I basically treat minor factions as mercenaries that I can call to arms at a moment's notice. Which is why I don't like doing quests for minor factions that are not within my territory. I do it when they're scary, like Hunts, because they're very expensive to mind control anyway. Or I do it when the quest I get is very promising, gives me, or for example, when it gives me a very good reward. Otherwise, however, I just check what the quest is and don't complete it. That's how I personally play. Alrighty then, let's move in, talk to this minor faction, just for the kicks. As I said, we're not gonna continue with this game, obviously. We're just gonna focus on the first few turns and that's it. Talk with 5 other fortresses. That's ironic. Obviously, I get this quest when I'm not gonna continue with this game. Usually I get this quest after I talk to literally every fortress on the map. So, yeah. Thank you, game. Thank you for being so funny. Ha ha ha. You're hilarious. I hate you. No, I don't really hate you. I love Endless Legend, but still, sometimes it's a love-hate relationship, if you know what I mean. Alright, let's keep moving alongside the coastline. Still not see any factories, anything. I do discover some regions that are pretty good for colonizing, however, which is pretty important. This manufacturing, it's haunts, good. I would have to pacify them anyway, might as well use them as a workforce. And what I see over here is that there is an oasis and there is also Mikontria. Both give you approvals, which means that they are both a very useful anomaly in their own right. What about footsie wise? Right, it would not be that great. It's not a lot of dust, and you need the dust. There is a decent amount of science, so it's not that bad of us for a second city, but I'm not very keen on it. Then again, the science is good. The science is strong with this one, and there are haunts in here as well. If I were to continue this game, that's probably where I would settle next. What about my hero? How do I use my hero, by the way, you may ask? And it is an important question. Personally, I prefer to have at least my first Morgawr hero to be used as a governor. 8 gold, yeah, that's probably not gonna happen. And the reason why I do that is because if you check him out, first of all, he's got influence efficiency 2, which is very useful for you because you need that cat's paw. You also actually, surprisingly enough, need in your first empire plan, you probably need to have a lot of things. You need economy and population in case you have, for some reason, you're forced to cat's paw a lot of units, and in early game you might not have economy strong enough to sustain that. Economy population ministry can help you with that. Or science and industry, very important, gets your wars out quicker. Actually, by that time you should have wars out already, but it might help you getting some other techs faster as well. And what about unit cost reduction? Extremely important, increases the speed of your settlers production, increases the speed of your war production. Very cool. So you probably actually want to have all those three things. So you do need a lot of influence, like I said. So I'll discuss that now, in fact, instead of continuing with the hero, because you see, how do you expand as the Morgawr? Do you fast expand, or do you instead wait with expansion? I'll say that both are a possibility. Depending on where you start, you may want to withhold your expansion until turn 10. Sometimes I do it so that I wait with my settler or two, and on turn 10 I instantly create 1 or 2 cities right after one after the other, after activating my luxury resources to get the bonus from them. And I do it like this. Or I can make super fast settler and try to grab as much land as possible. You can do that as the Morgawr more so than other factions, because normally your limiter would be in the minor factions that besiege your cities and destroy everything, but you can mind control them, you don't have to worry about it, which gives you a wonderful sense of possibilities. Now with that said, oh, there's a river tower. Awesome, I can explore a lot of territory. This is also a reason why I didn't put this hero into any city, because sure, he's costing me a lot of science to maintain, but look at the amount of scouting I can get done now. Okay, I'm gonna get stuck now, so let's go back because of a cliff. But like I said, you can move crazy fast on rivers, and we have discovered a good amount of territory. Galadriel's here, more space over there. This is kind of a peninsula, not really. Well, there are bits of peninsulas all over the place, so that's good enough. So that's an interesting place. It looks like there are a lot of territories I could potentially expand to. Just by looking at it, I mean, this is not an ideal place actually, even though it looks tempting, but because of its geography, it's not that great. This place actually is not that great either. This place definitely, yes. And I would have to keep scouting over here to tell how good of a place this area is. And by the looks of it, it's... let's see, manufacturing boss. Yeah, it's actually also not that very great. So I would probably try to look for any type of islands I can find on the ocean and maybe try to expand towards the islands. So with looking at the things and how they are right now, I would potentially not fast expand, although this region is still very tempting to fast expand to. I would have to think about it if I were to continue this game. But I could also try to just take control over the regions around this bank of sea. Bank of Sea, I don't believe that's the proper way to say it. But yeah, that's what I think about the situation normally. I would probably, after exploring a little bit more in this area, or in fact maybe even right now, I would actually reassign my hero to my capital, because I do want to save some dust, and he scouted a decent amount, and now this unit is gonna scout in that direction, so we don't necessarily need a hero over here. He is a useful scout, but you do want to try and save some dust if possible. Keep that in mind at all times. Mill Foundry ready in 1 turn. Now I could try to rush a settler, but he would be ready in 3 turns, take away my population, bring me down to 1. Not a good idea, so in this case I would not fast expand, I would slow expand instead. And either, what would I do in this situation in fact? I could start working on a Borough Street and make one over here, which would bring me a lot of industry output after, Fitzy output after it being completed. And as for the industry approval drop, I will not have to worry about it, because I can just assign my hero, and as you will see, this hero, I like to use him as a governor, because influence efficiency is one thing, but skill tree is another. He gives you a ton of approval, he gives you cheap naval units, very important, and he's very quick to get access to both Inspiration Leader and Code Operator. Both of these are very important for a governor, that's why I like this guy as a governor. So yeah, I believe I will just hold on with expanding. I'll probably expand there next and check if there's anything over here that's worth expanding to, or if this land is more promising than it looks, but I don't think it is. So yeah, okay, this is this stat done. We're 30 minutes into the video. It's about time I show you some more stats, so let's get to it. Alright, a new world, and by looks of it, unfortunately, looks like it's a little bit too good to my liking. I would rather discuss the worst case scenarios than best case scenarios, and it looks like a phenomenal place. But let's just scout out. Maybe we'll get some, educational value out of this region. Oh, wow. 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 I think we can recreate our world because it seems to be a no-brainer. Although, is it... Oh, no, what did I just do? I moved you to the wrong tower by accident. Is it really? Let's just confirm it. I wanted to move this guy onto a river. I misclicked. And I should have used my hero then to scout out the sea. So that is a mistake I would have made if this was a real game. Thankfully it's not. So there's that done. I'll explore the ruins because why not? And that's all of your movement done. So yeah, I can see everything in my home region. And this... I wish I had stats like these when I played real games. Unfortunately, for some reason I don't. I only get those stats when I don't continue my games. Oh well. So let's have a quick look here, although I think we can restart right now because it's a no-brainer. So over here, actually it's not... Okay, no, it's still good. I mean 10, 11, not great for your fast city. You do want food and you want industry. You want both of them at a good pace. Actually no, it's great. It's perfect. What am I talking about? 10 food, yeah, you cannot work that and you get population 2 10s. 11 industry, if you work it, you get Founders Memorial in 2 10s. 18 science, you get your technology 110. 16 industry, you're rich. 20 approval, you get even more of everything. That's ridiculously good. Alternatively, of course, you could try to go over there. 16, 12, 8 to 10. Again, very good values. If this place didn't exist, I'd probably settle here. Actually, no, I need to settle... No, I couldn't, because this place is not next to the water. And you need access to water very quickly, because you really do need to have your VOR technology and your VORs as soon as possible. Although you could also create a very fast borrow street, I suppose. That's also a possibility. Either way, thankfully, I don't have to decide that right now. Because this place, I mean, you would be really out of your mind to not settle there, frankly. I don't even care what the manufacturing is. Eric is. Well, Eric is increasing movement speed. It's not the worst thing ever. It's not very useful either, I'll be entirely honest with you. And Ericus as a unit, I like, but not like very much, if you know what I mean. It's okay. Still though, this place, I mean, look at... Actually, well, I'm just short of getting population in 110, which would have been lovely. But I can still get it in 2 10s. I can get Founders Memorial by working on it. Actually, with the 20 approval, yeah, I do need to be working on it. So yeah, but I can get technology instantly. And when you can get the technology instantly, it's a no-brainer. Language Square, and because we have so much technology, it's very likely that I'll even be able to squeeze in search parties somewhere soon. How soon? It depends from how much... we'll see. Actually, let's end this stand because might as well. We're getting 13 dust even though we have as many armies as humanly possible. That's ridiculous. That's such a good start. I wish I could continue this game. I can't, however. There's only one AI in here. So, okay, let's see. We can get a new technology 110 or 2 10s? 110! So, I could get Mill Foundry now and have it ready for the next turn, which is pretty important. This would allow my city to perform better. But what would it really do with the extra production now? Well, I'll tell you the answer to that. It would get access to dust filtration, and with the extra production, it could get faster wars. So I think that in this case, this is the way to go. I was really tempted to go for quick search party, but I looked around. There are not that many ruins around us, and we're gonna get to ruins later. We're probably gonna get search party with the amount of luck we had so far. But I believe this is the way to go. No need to stay in this map for any longer because it's way too good to our purposes. Let's move on. Okay, this is slightly more interesting. Looks like it might potentially be a bad start. Let's see if that is really the case. I'd be happy if it were, but we need to check this out first. So, let me have a quick look. See, oh no, I see. I see Earth spine, but it's quite far away. But there I see. Okay, you are also quite far away, so it's maybe not the end of the world. Silex, oh, that's awesome. Manufacturer does simulate, so that's potentially a candidate for a new place to settle. Also, I didn't start my timer, so there we go. Dear Mastermind, you are gonna have to walk like this to explore as much territory as possible. Studying region reveals, well, some more resources we don't care about really. And finally, I have hero again. Avoid the forests at all cost. I meant to say. Try to go over there, maybe. That was pointless, actually. I shouldn't have gone there. Either way, so not a place inside that looks good at first glance. If I zoom out and have a quick look-see for anomalies, I don't think I missed anything obvious really. There's black dust, I suppose, and that's about it that interests us. So FTSE-wise, what do we have? We have a 71444. Food-wise, this is the bare minimum that you can agree to. You lose one food from the tile that you develop on. Wait, no, that's not the minimum. That's below minimum. No, not at all. That's really bad actually, because you would need to work food in this instance in order to actually get food growth, population growth in 2 turns. And industry is just short of being acceptable for that situation. If I had 15 industry on this tile, I would have settled here, but I don't, so I won't. Also, the industry and science output are rubbish, so another reason not to. 9 and 10, again bad. How about this place? 7, 14, 8, 8, not good, even though you have at least more science than dust. So what if I were to move to this location onto where the anomaly is? 9, 2, 8, 12. That's so bad, I don't even. 7, 6, 13, 14. Again, horrible city. You don't want to be there at all. This is awful. Let's keep looking. What else do we have here? 12, 4, 7, 12. So I don't have to work food, that's all good, but for industry is just too low to be really acceptable. Even though you could later on expand or even just start here, but look at this value, it's ridiculously bad. No, all of this is just one big pile of nope. What if I were to wait 110 and move over here? 17 and 4s all around, 15 and 6s all around. Because I would have to wait, that's not good. 19 and 5s. Okay, yeah, this is a conundrum. Okay, yeah, this is the challenge I asked for, I suppose. Let's think about it. Did I not miss anything obvious? Let's have a look. Oh, no. This is not it. So, by the looks of it, I probably need to stay where I am. The reason being, even though walking over here, in total, this is a better FTSE outputs. 15666. In total, if you sum it up, it's a pretty decent number. It's not great, nothing to write home about, but it could do for other factions. Maybe. For us, however, would waste a ton. That means we're wasting a ton of dust because we have no income. And later on, we would still only have 6 income. That would be potentially fixed by our dust dredgers or filters, however they're called. But it still leaves us with low dust. What about food actually? Let us think about it. Okay, with 15 food, we're gonna lose 3 of that, so that leaves us at 12. So this means it would go by itself on 2 10s. As for industry, we get 10. So yeah, Founders Memorial in 3 10s. Technology, we need 14 science for technology. Oh, that's a problem. Technology in 3 10s. No, wait, we're gonna get extra science when you place down a city. So technology in 2 10s after placing down a city. Not very bad. Yeah, FTSE-wise it's not a bad place, but waiting at 10 as the Morgawr can really kill you. So let's analyze this place again. 17, 14, 7, 14 I mean. 7, 14 again. Both of these are the same, so this place also gives you science and dust. Science in particular is important here. Dust actually too, it allows you to scout out a bit more. What about this place? 9, 10, 2, 4. Look, no. It's still just as not ideal as this place, except it doesn't even give you science or dust to compensate. It's just a big pile of nopes. And over there, like I said, with 2 industry, you might as well know. That's not even. I mean, of course, you can do a risky thing. You can also, I should have done this over here. Search ruins, hope you get lots of dust, which I didn't even get. So that's, I guess, the game trying to tell me don't do this. And you can settle on a tile like this. That's 7 is not enough. 6, 13, 14. That's a lot of dust production though, which would allow you to buy out Mill Foundry. And working on food, you could get your population up in 2 10s. But the Mill Foundry, oh, that would be such a slow process to get to it. 13 science, that would mean 40 science. So wait a second, that means I would get science in a single 10. Which could be the search party. And this, placing my city over here does give me some expansion potential later on, as well in that direction, for example. And in here, there isn't much potential really, it's just more of a rubbish territory. I think this is the best bet I can possibly take right now, actually. That is somewhat relying on luck and relying on the ruins paying for themselves. But I really hate waiting for them to expand when I play as the Morgawr. It's just so expensive. And here, I mean, we have decent science production. Look at that. I can grab search party in a single turn. And in this case, I probably would do that. I don't see any citadels nearby. There's only one manufacturer next to me that I see right now. Search party is more important in this case, more than anything. I would probably follow this up with, let's see. My guess is that I would follow this up with Blackwood Square into Mill Foundry. Because of how we do, I would work that food because I have to. You cannot buy out food unless you're broken lords. And then whenever possible, I'll buy out Founders Memorial or get it by natural means if possible. Dust filtration, maybe depending on my science output, although I think I wouldn't necessarily need to do this and I'll just be able to get Mill Foundry after that because of how good my science output is. And then buy out Mill Foundry, definitely I would have to. And then probably rush a settler. I mean, it's not a very bad spot, and in future the city is gonna be pretty decent for its science production. I mean, look at the amount of science tiles. This is prime place where I could go later where I would later go for topography. So yeah, not a bad spot actually, even though it might look horrible at first. So alright, that was a decent example, educational, I like it, let's move on. That, however, is an interesting start. I was hoping to get one. In fact, I'll tell you, I have restarted World Generation several times to get something like this. Although I haven't ever, in any of my Morgawr games, seen something like this. I always, when I am landlocked, I start in a desert. This time, I didn't start in a desert, I started in a cold territory, kind of tundra-like, with a river. Because you always start either next to some kind of water tile, whether it be river, ocean, or whatever else. So, what do you do now? You could, of course, play landlocked Morgawr. If it's multiplayer, it probably means you're dead, however. If it's single player, you can. It would be a very fun challenge, in fact. I encourage you to try it out. It's interesting, it forces you to play and think outside the box. So, lots of fun, personal recommendation. But, you probably don't want to be landlocked as the Morgawr, am I right? What do you do in this situation? Step 1, don't panic. Step 2, zoom out, see where you are. Alright, I am somewhere in the middle of the map. It looks like this is a pole and this is an equator because I don't see any land ship on the edge, but this doesn't necessarily mean anything. This could also be equator or whatever. However, it doesn't look like we're in the equator because otherwise this would be a pretty hot place. So either this is equator or this is equator. My guess is that I have no idea which one is which. We have to explore. So, thankfully there's a river. When you're landlocked and you don't want to be landlocked, you follow the river. Now, it looks like the river is getting smaller over here, so this is the end. This is where the spring is. This is where there's more land and less water for you to swim around in. So let's go into the opposite direction and look for where this river is going. Keep looking. Keep looking. Surely we're gonna find a place where we can go. And there we go, we found the ocean. Done. It took us a while, but we found it. Now, there is a problem. Usually, when you're landlocked like this, because of the rivers, you can get to your ocean 110. However, as those masterminds just demonstrated us, it's impossible. I can colonize the coastline, but in 2 turns, not 1 turn. And it doesn't even look like a very promising coastline to begin with. So let's keep looking. We can still go up the river, and you never know what you might find. So let's go ahead and try. You might find another river to follow. Doesn't seem to be the case. So let's keep looking. Yeah, we're out of rivers now, which is a problem. And that's all we were able to see. So definitely we're not going in that direction. It looks like it's getting colder here and warmer there. So this is the equator and this is the South Pole. We're in the southern hemisphere. That's good to know. So anything else we can find? Well, we are here. We could explore in one of those 2 directions, but it's pointless. There is only land around. So we have to decide, do we play landlocked or not? Like I said, in multiplayer, playing landlocked usually means you're deaf unless you are in a really good spot. Or you can, for example, if this was an amazing place, you could settle your capital, accept the fact that it's probably gonna be stolen from you by some other player, because it's gonna be very hard for you to defend it against real experienced competitive players, again, or even not experienced players. However, as long as you get a good start, get your sellers to the coastline and even beyond the coastline to some islands, it could still be okay. So what would I do in this situation? Getting my seller anywhere here takes 2 turns, as you can see. Anywhere to this coastline, anywhere like so, yeah, 2 turns, 2 turns, 2 turns, everything over there is 2 turns. Over here, what do we have? We've got a location where that's a decent amount of rivers. Thankfully, we still get benefices on rivers. So this is 30, 16, 8, 2. I could walk on... If I were to walk on food, so that's 10, that's plus 4, so that's 14. Yeah, I could get extra population, but only... Wait, 14! Right? Yes, I can get population in 1 turn, and I can get Founders Memorial in 2 turns, even when not working industry. I can get science in 2 turns, even when not working science. This is really good fitsy-wise. As opposed to this place, probably. Although, no, it's actually pretty good. 15? 15, what was that? That was 13, so that's even better. 10 industry, which is unfortunately a problem, like we discussed so many times before. So that's suboptimal, even if we were to work industry. So, yeah, actually, if we were to stay in this region, wow, that's ridiculous amount of food, but nothing else. So, I would probably settle here. However, what are the options outside the region? Let's have a quick look, shall we? Let's see, am I missing any anomalies? I'm not. So, along the river, I could settle in 2 turns to... looks like I cannot settle over here because what, a cliff or something? It's hard to tell. Oh, because it's a forest, so I see, I get it. I can settle here, but that's not good, obviously. And this is, yeah, no, I cannot settle here. So what about here-ish? Let's see. I can get here in 2 turns. That's rubbish with the output. This is probably a rubbish with the output. What about over here in the desert? Deserts are usually a cool place. I mean, not a cool place when it comes to temperature, but a nice place to settle on as a Morgawr. I personally really like them. This, however, 5, 7, 5, 9, really awful. 4, 6, 5, 10, awful. No, yeah, no. And over here, that's 3 10s. No, that's... You know what? If I were playing this game, I would be like, well, landlocked it is. This is... Oops, I wasn't supposed to do that. I was wanting to do this the other way around. My bad. I lost some scouting ability. But still, I would settle here. Make do... Sorry. My voice is going away. Make do with what I have. And, hold on a second. Yeah, like this, I don't have to work industry. And, yeah, make do with what I have. Try to create more sellers as quickly as possible. As for the tech, how much do I have? 9 per 10. In this case, I would start with Mill Foundry. I would get Mill Foundry right after Founders Memorial. I would follow that probably with a Dust Dredger, I would assume. Maybe. Or I would just follow it up with a Mastermind, a seller rather. It depends what I scout. If I scout at a nice colonizable location soon, somewhere alongside this coastline, I would probably follow it up with scouts and start trying to run away from this place. Depends though, depends. However, I would have to spend a long time to see whether or not would plan would be the most optimal solution. However, settling here and continuing onwards is in my eyes the best solution right now. And in fact, I might not even go for Language Square right away after getting the Mill Foundry. I might go for something else. In fact, I probably would go for something else. Let's see. Maybe something science related? I don't know. I don't have time, unfortunately, to discuss this anymore. 48 minutes, almost 49. I need to end this video, ladies and gentlemen. It was PANCZASU, also known as the Mighty Mix Spammer. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I actually don't have anything else to say. That's very anticlimactic, I am aware. I will make a video, however... Sorry, I'm really losing my voice. I will make a video, however, regarding the difference between fast game speeds and normal game speeds, so await that in somewhat near future. As for the full Morgawr playthrough, you have to wait a bit more for that. Also, my voice is really going away if you can hear that right now, so I really need to go. Anyway, thank you very much again for watching, and I will see you online.